Welcome back, my little recusants, to another and final episode of Cabernet. We are looking into the following achievements, the And Then There Were None, which requires us to see the deaths of every single character that can die. And on that journey, we're also going to be maximizing our writing skill to get that in the epilogue. But essentially, the intro is pretty much the same. We have to make sure that we befriend Elisa, though, because she is one of the few vampire characters that are able to die in the game. So we do have to make sure we're friendly with her. We have to resurrect Petya, and so value Petya in our conversations with her to allow ourselves to, get her ending where, she fails her sunlight quest. So take Matilda and, just make sure when we're doing other quests with her that we keep her approval as high as we can. We also need to have our science relatively high, because for the Rusalka quest, where we get access to Oleg and his private room, we need to be able to finish out her quest, and that means that we need to basically have science high enough to investigate her identity in the town hall. But that's talking way in advance. For now, we're going to make sure that we tip Trophim and allow ourselves to build up his friendship and relationship so that we can eventually ask him to go somewhere private. Because basically what we're going to be doing is, the easiest way to cause a character's death is to drain them of their blood, and that can kind of be done at any point throughout the game. As in, before we go to the Countess's Lodge and trigger endgame, you can kind of make sure that we see everyone finished. Now, with Faina, interestingly enough, we are going to be going along and getting the Hamsa, because we do want to make sure that when it gets time to Dragomir, we have to make sure that we can protect those lovely people and make sure that they are safeguarded so we can feed on them to death. At least that's how I'm doing it. But again, we just motor on through the main story, having little to no regard for our experience or our other side quests, or worrying really at all about them, because they're all just here to be taken out. So we're going to make sure that we take the money, and then we're going to feed on Evgeny. And as I say, we can't kill him here though, because in order to be able to talk to Iskra in Kirill's storyline, we have to follow Evgeny's story and pursue the card game solution, figuring out that Kirill's cheating, and then getting the the card games to talk to Iskra and be able to get her into that back room. We basically keep befriending Roman and Anastasia and Trophim. We keep them all in our good books and in our good graces, okay? Then we need to keep on chatting with Kirill, because she's basically going to say the same thing that we did in our original Prime playthrough, which was where she deduces that he's cheating, and now she has to work out how he cheats by befriending Iskra. And unfortunately, me requiring her friendship has basically sealed her fate, because when we eventually buy her enough drinks and get her enough friendship points, we will just take her to the back room, get Kirill's cheating technique through enchantment, and then while she's enchanted, drain her. So unfortunately, just like all these characters, their days are numbered. But yeah, as I say, we'll just have little snippets of how we're doing this here. So same as the first game, just buy her a couple of drinks until you're able to introduce yourself, get her name, and then go to the back room for some private cocktails, which will basically just be a cocktail of her blood, num num num, and we'll just see her finished here now. So we figure out how he cheats, and she tells us, and then we're going to drain her. But having said all of that, guys, this is the final run. This is the well, not the final run, but basically I made a little safety save while we were working on this playthrough. I made a safety save around the end of chapter 2 going into chapter 3, and basically just to kind of get that out there now, the final trophy that triggers our platinum in this case is one where we have to basically soft lock the game. And in order to do that, we need to basically sleep through nearly all of the days, get little to no experience, and have low humanity, low nihilism, and low stats in order to succeed. So when I kind of have my final explanation, I'm going to let the cutscenes kind of play, and just have that final fail state ending where we're just stuck in prison forever. But as I say, during this one, we are going to need to kill Oleg, which means we're going to need to pursue the Rusalka quest. So pop over to Lover's Island, meet with her, and then meet with Faina so that you get the pastry conversation, and she's going to offer you her Hamsa to guard against Dragomir. And keep friends with keep friends with Alisa, because you need to basically send her to the sunlight, send her to her doom. And then we have to keep up with Anastasia and Maruzova. Like, listen, she'll be fine. We'll save her brother, and her brother will be indebted to us forever and love us so much, and then we'll kill them. But Anastasia is a trickier one. I kind of thought, I could just talk to her here in the music shop and sing to her and it'll all work. But we have to do a bit more work in order to get her working. So we do have to basically start our lessons. We need to go through and get ourselves in her good graces, but we do also need to work through and make sure that we get her visit to the house so that we can talk to her in the garden. Basically, that's where we're kind of at with her. But I have a little bit of fun on the piano. I do really like that mini game. It's quite wholesome and quite fun. But yeah, this is just tragic. Like, it's just so sad knowing that you're like, yeah, I'm just befriending you enough so that, it's like peak sociopathy or psychopathy. It's one of them. But it's really sad. I'm literally there being like, oh man, just let me enchant you, because once I can enchant you, I can finish this achievement. But this triggered a really interesting scene, actually, because like the doctor's here with you, and that's where you also have to get through the medical task, which is also why we need to have high science. So we can basically get to the feeding with Nicoletta. Nicoletta will never let us into our home unless we go do the doctor stuff. And he absolutely flips out. Rightly so, I'm not saying he's wrong, but he absolutely flips the lid when we actually kill poor Nicoletta. And oh my god, he literally cuts off the entire quest. He's like, listen, I thought you were cool, you were the worst investment, oh my god. And then I'm literally there like, I feel so good, I'm incredible, bloodlust, giving pure feral energy. And he's like, dear god, what have I done? And he just cuts off his quest there. It's like, nope, sorry, failure, not working with you anymore, Lisa. No more. So yeah, Lisa in Bloodlust is going to just be a very, very common trait here. And so this is where, when we're doing our level ups for this particular run, we have to make sure that we're so careful to make sure that literature is the highest, because that's the only one left for us to do, to allow us to do that. But having said that, guys, now that Faina's given us the Hamsa, we can walk over the next day and feed on her, or let Dragomir, take care of her, either or. But we end up getting through and finishing off the card puzzle, And of course, then Evgeny loses his mind when his illicit affair with his pen pal is revealed and he challenges him to a duel. Now, the sad thing for Evgeny is I need to be able to feed on Kirill to make sure he dies. In which case, I'm like, sorry, Evgeny, we're gonna just have to make sure you die so the duel doesn't go ahead. And at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm literally walking towards their mansion. Might as well pop into Roman in the old bookstore, buy a few books to, like, get his approval up enough that we can go into the back room and have a little snack. And that's Roman down. We also need to keep on progressing Hussar, so we end up finding Elisa in the hookah bar. So we progress his quest a little bit as well. And as I say, we continue with Kirill as well. And making sure that we start his quests so we can build up his approval and start doing some odd jobs. So I realise it says Fast and Furious, but like, I don't think we need like 97 parts in this series to go and retread all these different story beats, you know? So we basically sit with Anastasia. You know, we make her feel welcome, make her feel happy, make her feel like, you know, she can trust us. You know, build up that approval. Just make sure you don't give the specific compliment because then that messes up everything. But we have a nice tea, and then I go, oh, I just have to powder my nose. I have to just go upstairs and powder my nose, Anastasia. You go out to the garden. You go out to the garden and chill, my love. Do not even worry, my girl. And with that, Evgeny is dead. No duel to take place. And then I descend down the stairs and head out to the garden to see poor, vulnerable Anastasia wondering about her dreams of being a musician. Thinking, how can Evgeny, you know, keep her, you know, held down and trapped when his own writing career is struggling. And Lizaverta simply walks up beside her and says, don't worry, you know, he's not going to hold you back anymore. And you won't have to live your life much longer as a failure because you're not going to live much longer at all, sweet Anastasia. And with that, our hit list conceives of Roman, Anastasia, and Evgeny. We could also do Faina as well at this point because once you have the Hamsa, you know, she's of no use to you. Because even if you did kill her, you could hop over to Maruzova's cabin and leave the Hamsa there, because that way you can make sure you feed on her. And yeah, do CPR, rescue Demyan. The two of them are eternally in your debt, and you know, it's like, oh my god, we'll spend the rest of our lives being so happy that you saved our lives. It's like, oh, like, you know, you won't, you know, them thinking that's going to be a promise for a very long time, but yeah, it's just going to be a night, kids, you know, don't worry about it. We talk with Dragomir. He is very much in favor of our plan. He is like, girly, I was thinking I caused chaos on Kupala night. You've been calling chaos every night. And Lisa's just like, listen, babe, I got the vibe. I understand the assignment. I'm a parasite, you know? And now we snap our fingers at Faina's door. And we fix up our contract, and then we leave. Resulting in the death of Faina. Or did I use the Hamsa there? I'm really sorry. I I kind of can't figure that now, in hindsight. But either way, we do have to kill Faina before her natural death. And once we get into meeting with Elisa, we do make sure that we resurrect Petia. That is really, really important. If you don't resurrect her, she won't ask you to help her see the sun. And if she doesn't see the sun, she won't die. So, gotta keep her on side. But the next day, we then meet up with Elisa again, and we kind of basically say, you're not crazy. Go try and beat the sun. It's absolutely amazing. You know, be determined. Go for it. Do not cut out on the stream. And I suppose when we go back to our original playthrough, I did not realize that, like, my one thing of please be careful in, like, the little unlock slot made it so that she actually lived. Do you know? That it was so easy to kill her is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Well, look, I suppose nearly everybody is easily taken to a harsher reality. But yeah, so you see there, Faina is dead. I think I basically fed her the next day after Kupala night. But Faina is dead, and now it's just looking along being like, where are my other humans? And I realised that, like, those two there are Ivan and Gosha. And then it's also Koila and the mayor, Savelli. So, you know, we're ticking along quite nicely. So it's like, hey Demian, so glad you are, like, up and, you know, ready for, you know, a day's work and everything. We're just going to sing you a little song in the woods. Because, you know, I just need to take a blood sample. It's totally important doctoral work. And another one down, another one's down, another one bites the dust. But while, you know, like, I think it is fairly safe to say that pretty much this playthrough is just going to be make sure before you go to the Countess's house that you have killed everyone. Elisa and Evgeny, Anastasia, Oleg, and, you know, everyone. Just make sure everyone's dead. So I will leave up a little screenshot to be like, here are the relationship maps. Make sure yours looks like this before going to, you know, the Countess's manor. And you need to have, well, you're going to have max nihilism if you're doing all the killing. But you need to have high enough nihilism that when you get to the Countess's manor, you can lock up Victoria and make sure she dies in the manor basement. But now that we've just became good enough friends with Kirill, we can go back to overloading on our blood, getting that lovely, lovely skill point boost, getting intoxicated, and another human is down. So it's really funny to have these two runs juxtaposed with, like, the vegetarian run where it was like we just had nobody, we didn't feed on anyone, to, like, we're feeding on everyone, everyone's going to die, it's going to be great. Now, when you're with Elisa on Lover's Island, you must not tell her to be more careful. Like, just leave her at it. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't really know what she's doing. She's gonna die. But, like, that's our goal here, you know? But aside from all of that, guys, we have the game 100%ed. And you might be wondering why I made certain decisions, and it's actually because I wasn't aware at the time that the Master Sommelier trophy was a platinum. So I thought, when I read the description of those that have tasted everything, I thought it was just a poetic way of saying you have to feed on every human in the game. Which is why I then was like, oh, well, I can't let Demian just die by not doing CPR properly, because I have to feed on him for the Master Sommelier trophy. But it was actually a platinum trophy, so once I got the secret ending, which you're going to see at the end of this episode, the soft lock ending, we were grand. But as I say, we hop on now and we work a bit with Maruza, picking up the mushrooms, and you're like, listen, girl, you know, we're gonna just pick some mushrooms so you can then be comfortable with me coming back to the house, and, you know, You were worried I was going to pick up toxic mushrooms that could poison you. It's like, girl, I was the most toxic thing here. I was the real danger in the woods, Bella. So yeah, don't follow a vampire into the woods. Even if they sparkle, they will probably be your demise. And I mean, Lisa has been intoxicated this near entire playthrough, so it's quite funny. So yeah, then we go on to Oleg, and we have to do our research. So we need to go in and make sure that we get the information. And what's funny here is that I end up sawing off the arm because, again, I thought Master Sommelier meant I had to feed on everybody. So then I thought, oh, well, I can't just kill him with the knife like the Rusalka wants. So I'll just chop off his hand, and then while he's enchanted, I'll feed on him to the death. Which then led to another interesting caveat. So I killed him, and I didn't keep this in, but I went back to the Rusalka, and I thought, oh, well, I technically cut off his hand, but he is also dead. So I should be able to say, oh, you know, he is dead. I thought the game would register that. But it seems like if you only ever take the hand through that dialogue option, it's like the Rusalka just thinks you're lying regardless. So that was interesting. Next, since we had high enough with Trophime, we can talk to him and be like, hey Trophime, want to go over to the lake and swap fish stories? And he's like, oh my god, I love fish! I'm like, Lisa, you said you were going to turn me into a vampire. And it's like, yeah, about that though. I'm gonna just turn you into a vampire's meal. Nom 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 nom. And once again, she's intoxicated, girl. But yeah, another day done. And now Petty has been all needy. But I think if you just don't deal with Petty at all, don't deal with any of his quests, it's like he becomes so sad and depressed that he just dies. Or because Elisa died, he died. I'm not sure what causes him to die, but he's dead in the epilogue. So just don't do anything he wants, and hopefully he'll just be really sad. But yeah, we basically talk to the Countess, we talk to the Mayor, people get shot, things go crazy, and you know, we end up with Coilia's arrest and everything. It's a whole mess, it's a whole deal, it's a whole set of craziness. And you see, then again, me misunderstanding Master Sommelier, I then thought, oh well, I have to make sure I feed on Coilia, because I have to feed on everybody in the game. Them's just the rules, you know? And as I say, my walk is the biggest walk of shame after the arrest. She has that dream where, like, in our first playthrough, I met nobody on this walk. I was like, what is this promenade of, like, craziness? And then I realized, oh, I've literally killed nearly everybody, so the streets are full. I'm like a one-woman parade, and they all came out to see me. Admittedly, they all came out to see me, to say horrific things to me. But it's just really bloody funny, guys. I'm just like, oh my god, they thought of everything. They really thought of everything, oh my god. So many people, and my little nightgown is like so dirty. The nihilism is, you know, represented by the dirt that I cannot wash out. The Lady Macbeth, out damn spot out, but there ain't no Sillet Bang in this universe. That dirt is not getting gone. But I left it in. I literally said, no guys, like, I don't think I've it's such a juxtaposition from Lisa's original walk that was like in total solitude to her friend Faina, who just happened to die and was there. But instead now Lisa is actually being plagued by all the different deaths that she's caused. The entire lineup of human characters are basically like, Lisa, why? The only human you haven't killed is your brother. Because you literally weren't able to. He had plot armor, Lisa. And then at that point it's like, okay, we can just hop on, give the bomb to Gosha. I keep saying her name wrong. But then I got really confused because then I was like, I have her really high in friendship, but she doesn't have that enchantable aura about her. And I suppose the thing really there is that she's actually not being able to be fed upon. So then I started really thinking in like overdrive where I went, but then there's that Dragomir ending where I do feed on Savelli. So I must have to select that ending while after eating everybody else to get the Master Sommelier, which was not the case. But anyway, we have this random driver because Tropheme is DEAD. And I suppose just go back in the video a tiny bit and just check that your relationship map looks the same as mine before going to the Countess. So look, just make sure they're all there. And then likewise, we're like, the literature is up at 44. The literature is the highest. So you can just put something that won't cap it out. And now we have to go and look for our dearest brother. And hopefully he will be somewhere safe and sound, which I doubt, but I mean, so be it. But yeah, just I suppose in a closing retrospective on the whole Cabernet experience, I really enjoyed it. The devs are super good at like putting in their patches and like getting back to fans on questions and queries. I believe I said it in the last episode. I was having such issues with the Adios achievement because I thought it triggered in the epilogue. And, I wrote in a bug report and they got back to me very promptly saying, no, like here's how the achievement should unlock. And, as I say, one quick visit to the graveyard in the 1800s got us sorted. And I think it would have been really funny to go visit the graveyard in this save file because I would be literally tending so many graves. There's so many with me having just going on a murder spree, But we continue down, and basically what we need to make sure is that when we lock the door, we just don't let Victoria out when it comes to, getting back to town for the final episode. So yeah, all of this section doesn't really matter, to be honest, so I wouldn't be too up to 90 over any of this. Just make sure that you take the time to, lock Victoria up down here, I guess. But yeah, I would rate the game as like a really solid 8 out of 10. Like some of these particular playthroughs are a bit grindy, like the secret ending, it's like unless you specifically go for it, it does, does take a while. But I actually think what I really should have done was just make a safety save around chapter 3, I would say. Just so that you're kind of established, you're in, you've kind of gotten past all the grindy bits, you've met a lot of the characters and all their quests are just ready to be opened up, whereas the going through higher society, the meeting with the doctor, those initial tests with fighting, all those little elements they just take a while, whereas if you just load it in at the week's break before Kapala night, I think that'd be a perfect safety save just to load in, and then you can be right, this is my max politics playthrough, this is my max artistry playthrough, this is my max nihilism Kirill playthrough, this is my vegetarian playthrough. So I think just having a save to save would have been something that I would have personally benefited from. Just in hindsight's 2020, as I say. But as I say, once we escape the Countess's lair, we then head on back. Oh yeah, and your man was there in a lovely glitch-tastic way. I don't think he's meant to be there. I don't think he's was meant to be loaded in. You can interact with him. But it's just funny to see him just standing there stationary. It's like, oh, don't let Victoria out. I need her to die. You're not, spoiling this entire playthrough, dude. But we arrive back just in time to reach Town Hall. And it's like, yeah, there you go. Enjoy your coin. And then it's like, by the way, don't let Victoria out. Ignore me. I was crazy. I didn't think of anything. And then starts the whole rigmarole of the Cabernet Chapter 7. And in a nutshell, just don't accept the Countess's offer. Don't accept anybody's offer. Just get through all the different puzzles. And when you get to Coilia, you just let him die. And with Coilia's death, you have ensured that every single character has been KO'd, unlocking, and then there was none. But to close, we are going to have the secret ending to our lovely series with the soft lock trapped in prison ending, okay? And basically, for the rest of this, I finished up the finale, and I entered the epilogue, and I just walked over to my lovely pile of books because literature was my highest stat, and I got the literature achievement. Now, I've been the RPG Recusant. You guys have been absolutely amazing in support of this series, and I'm super proud to finish out this series, and this game has been 100%ed. I think it was well worth the time, well worth the effort, well worth the energy, and I hope that this playlist can help you get the max out of your game as well. I hope you get to have a continued wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon or evening, depending on when you've decided to sit down and watch Cabernet, and I will talk to you next time with a brand new series on Saturdays, so we look forward to it. And yeah, I'll just let these next couple of cutscenes play, and we'll get to see Softlock end game state, as well as our Master Sommelier trophy. Thank you all so much. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Who the hell do you think you are, girl? Snooping around my house, reading private correspondence. Just wait until the Higher Society Council hears of this. They don't take kindly to this kind of insolence, believe you me.
I didn't mean to.
Save it for the council. Oh, and good luck with finding your brother. Hope he is well.
Of fresh blood. This would last me a while, only I can't bear to drink it, knowing where it comes from. My cup? How long?
By the sound of it, you're in for the long haul. Nothing personal, miss. Just doing my job.
Agame.
In a
Why did you...
I am no see not I. If only you listen. Instead, let this be.
Forever.
You don't think he will let you out of here, do you? Although perhaps undeserved, you are immortal. Your days will be forever spent here. He'll lie to others and hide you. Consider this a lesson. The last one I will teach you. One who learns more, does more, makes something of themselves, can always find a way. I gave you a chance, and you squandered it. No more. So much potential wasted. Pity.
I did the right thing. At least I thought I did. And an eternity without freedom is what I get in return. But I am not the first, and far from the last. This is how our land always rewards the brave. All I have left is hope that one day, everything will be different.